starting on the front page of your handout at audit trail reporting. You know, the biggest headaches we all have as accountants is when the auditors come in. And we better be looking at this whole approach of accounting from not only what's right and correct so we can get financials out and do an analysis, but how do we satisfy the auditors? And what you really need is a report. Reports Financial Cross-Reference. This is the code name for journal entries.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, so we have journal entries that we can sort by journal entry, by source document, or by audit trail code. These are the cross-reference reports under Reports Financial Cross-Reference. And I've created a few of them here. And if I look at open journal entries, I have included all of my source journals from GJ to GJZZZZ. And you're going to see those in a minute. All you have is GJ. And I've told it I want it just for last month. Great. You set up your thing this way. It's open for the last month, and it's all the general journals. And I get a quick report. Now, right now, for March of 2017, which is the dates that are in here, I've only got one in that location. Okay? But normally you'd have a ton. And it would be really nice to be able to print all your adjusting entries in one report. And that's the idea behind what we're going to be talking here this morning, is how to get that. Here's another one, a range of journal entries. Well, I've got a tilde in this thing, which means to me change. I need to come in here and tell it what I want. I can either tell it a journal entry at a time, or I can tell it a range of source documents in which I can look up any source journal, or I can tell it by audit trail code, date, segment, or GL account. Lots of options here. Indeed, this one by audit trail code gives me even more ranges because I can see the originating document number, the vendor name, the vendor ID. So explore this report. Learn how to output these. Create shortcuts. We'll be back here, but what I want to show you is that there's a way to organize these so that there's a good way to output them by ranges. If you don't have them organized, it's harder to do. So what we were looking at here a moment ago was a range. And if I were to go to a range of source documents, I have source documents here from all over Great Plains. And I'm going to pop open this document that I've handed you here. It's about halfway through your list. I've extracted that list of source documents that comes with Great Plains, and I've marked some as obsolete. Let me show you why. In the payable series, they're all PMs, so they're all in a range. Really nice that you can just say, hey, give me everything that came out of payables. It starts with PM APY and goes to PM VVR. They're all in a nice range. But when it came to receivables, they weren't in a range. They were all over the place. ATL, COM, CRJ. A couple of them were RMs for receivables management. So I'm recommending we rename those journals so they all start with the letters AR. The reason I'm not starting them with RM is because there's a few other RM journals in the system. And I'm not sure, Rob, where RMAs come from on RTVs. Probably not a product you have. There's a lot of extra products that are loaded in, and these are default. So your system comes with these journals predefined. That doesn't mean you can't change them and adapt them to your needs. So here's a recommendation for AR journals, for all of the receivables and sales order processing journals. Here's what my recommendation is to expand your general journal. Right now you have one, GJ. Everything, whether it comes from a clearing entry, a transaction entry window, or a quick journal in the GL, goes to the GJ journal. But I'm recommending we have a journal just for the clearing entry adjustments, and then a year-end adjustment, and several month-end journals, which I'll be going through examples of, and then a prior year-end journal. Everything from here on up is current year. This is prior year. This is current year clearing. This is current year end, and these are month-end adjustments. And by creating journals and putting things in them, they're already organized. How else might we do this? If I go back to Great Plains, number 2 on your list is transactions, financial, transaction matching. This is a tool that Great Plains put into version 9, I believe, and very few have ever been exposed to it unless you've taken a class. It's a freebie, nobody paid for it, so nobody gives it a whole lot of input. But it's useful. This is a way to go backwards and reclassify your journal entries into transaction groups. And then you can print reports based on those groups. So I've got a group right here, group number 2. You have to tie it to an account. So I wanted to recap everywhere where that account was, and I got a couple of journal entries in there. I didn't do a whole lot of work to develop this one. What it entailed was to go to that account. Oops, it was the 6100 in this case, and I told it that I wanted it to go to a particular year, find certain source documents. They came up, and I checked them off. I'm not saying this is fast, but it's powerful. You would have to pick a range of accounts and put them in one after another into this group and give it a name, and you can filter it by source documents, journal entry numbers, audit trail codes, range of dates. A lot of things you can filter it by. Once you got them in there, they're there, and the auditors can come in and print this report and see all the related stuff. Now that's a bit of work. So, wouldn't it be smarter to just go out and put them in an organized place in the first place, like I suggested here? So we're going to look at how to create source journals and put things in them. So first of all, let's look back again briefly at the subledgers. So project accounting, everything is a PA. They're greatly organized. Payables, they're all PMs, and purchase order processings are in a range. They're not organized here. They need some help. Indeed, there's a couple of PMs here that would normally be in the payables range that fall in down here. So I've given you a view of that. I've definitely shown you that receivables and sales order processing was all over the place, and by just renaming them, you could do that. So how did I do that? I went into administration on my shortcut bar, and I went into source documents on the setup posting window. And in your document, you've got the longhand way to get there. And I pulled up this one, and the first thing I did was put an asterisk in front of it. What does an asterisk mean in Great Plains? It always means void. So whenever you see a void transaction, it's got an asterisk. So to me, this is a way of saying, don't use it. You may have history in it, so you still got to keep it out there, but we're knowing that it's historical or it's old. So I just copied this information into my clipboard with Control-C, and then I went in there and I went down to the ARs and created another one and pasted that in. And I've got a new document. So basically, I created that list. Here are all my ARs. Here are all of these voided out ones in their alphabetical order. I've even voided out GJ and created new ones. What do I do with those? Right underneath source documents is audit trail codes. So if I go to the series for sales, you can see that every one of these windows defaults to a source document. So whenever you put anything in that window, it posts to the GL to that source document. So everything is sourced. Well, it's time to fix that. This is the AR APL. This is the AR COM. This is the AR CRJ. I just added AR in front of every one of those journals when I created them, and you see it's not airing out. They exist. AR MCC, AR SJ, an AR here, an AR here, and I'm down to here, an AR, and I have a few more. There's 2 of them that use the source journal, the sales journal. I haven't bothered with multi-currency because most of you don't have multi-currency. And I can look up those same journals here. So once I've created them, I can put them in. If I typed one in here right now that wasn't there, it's going to take me right out there and let me add it on the fly. So I can even do this as I work. These journals appear in Windows. If they don't exist here, and I type one in, it'll create it on the fly. Okay? We'll come back to that window because we use it all the time. And I'll go back to this view. So I have updated the sales journal to use those defaults. So now if I go to Transactions, Sales,